Hi, my name is Susan Bundy, and I'd like to talk to you about getting an education. First, I'd like to start with what motivated me to make this presentation. Well, a year or two back, I met a girl that was just coming off from maternity leave. Her daughter was 6 weeks old, and she had to leave her with a babysitter so she could go back to work at a local plant. She told me she didn't want to be there and that she only had a semester left of nursing school, but that she couldn't finish her degree because she had a baby now. I was completely blown away. There are so many programs out there to help if you want to go back to school. So my goal today is to let you know that if you want to go back to school, there are so many options available to you to help you accomplish that. So, who can get an education? Actually, pretty much anybody that wants an education has an education available to them. It doesn't matter if you're a single parent, if you're a parent from a two-parent home, if you just graduated, if you graduated 20 years ago, anyone that is willing to put in the time and effort to get an education can have one. So, I'm not going to lie. Getting an education to improve your skills and marketability in the workforce may not be easy, but one thing I can say is that it will be worth it. I struggled through every single degree I've gotten, but I have zero regrets because if nothing else, I've learned how to help people who don't have access to the information they need to get an education of their own. First, we're going to take a look at financial aid, funding your education. There's a lot of money available to you if you would like to get an education and don't have the means to. There are Pell Grants, which is money that you don't have to pay back. Student loans for those who may or may not qualify for Pell Grants. And these are low interest loans that you have to pay back once you're done with school. But for the meantime, while you're in school and actively attending classes, you don't have to worry about making those payments. For those single parents out there and even two-parent homes, there is daycare assistance available for people to use, to get care for their kids while they're attending classes. Now, this is not generally a school-sponsored program, but this is something that you can contact Health and Human Services about. In addition to daycare assistance, Health and Human Services can also help you with food assistance. There's no shame in getting temporary assistance to better yourself. I know a lot of people are embarrassed about getting assistance, but there's nothing to be ashamed of. I think this embarrassment comes from the fact that so many people who have never had to get assistance give it a bad name. They're thinking about the people who are just existing on, food stamps and welfare and not trying to better yourselves. That's not what assistance was intended for. Assistance is intended to help you to get back on your feet and get a job and, become independent again. I can't say that there aren't going to be people, that you're not going to encounter people who still have the mentality that assistance and welfare is for people who don't want to get a job. But you know what? For that short amount of time that you're going to have to deal with that ignorance, you're going to be getting an education. You're going to be bettering yourself. And in the end, you can go to those people and say, I was on assistance, because I do. I got food stamps. I got fuel assistance. I got daycare assistance. And I say, you know what? I got assistance when I was getting my education, when I was getting my degree, because there is no way I could have went back to school and gotten a good job, started a new career without this assistance. And you know what? I'm getting my master's degree right now. And it feels so good to know that you can say that and prove those people wrong. Now, there's also a few more means of financial aid available to you. There's scholarships, and in fact, I'm going to Missouri State University in Springfield, and they have one application that you fill out that gives you access and puts your name in to apply for thousands of scholarships. Now, scholarships are absolutely free money. It's money that has been donated by other people that want to see other people succeed. And so they make these funds available to them to help with tuition and room and board and books and all sorts of things. Another means of financial aid is work study. Work study is basically, it's similar to a Pell Grant, but you are actually working for the college while you're going to school, and they pay you to work there. For instance, when I was going to school, I did work study in the computer lab. So basically, I was there to, help people with their computer problems, reset their passwords, and any other time that, I had free time, I was able to work on my homework, work on my studies. So that is a very good program if you have the ability to do that. There's also assistantships, and which are similar to internships. And assistantships are typically for graduate programs, but they also have internships for undergraduate programs. There's military aid if you have been in the National Guard or served in any branch of the military. There is military aid to help you get an education. You can start the process of finding out what kinds of funds you qualify for by filling out what's called your FAFSA, which you can find at studentaid.gov. Most schools also have that application I was talking to you about that you apply for and you fill out once, and it puts your name in the hat for multiple scholarships from different organizations. Some may want you to write an essay, some don't. Some are for single parents, some are for families, children, or people that come from certain situations that are not common. It just depends. But filling out that one application will give you access to all of those. Now, not qualifying for any form of financial aid, student loans, Pell Grants, is pretty rare. But even if you don't qualify for financial aid, there are still options available to you. For instance, you could do what I did. I started out at a technical and community college for my network administration degree. This was the route because tuition at that time, granted that was a while ago, but at that time, tuition was $148 per credit hour, which is about half of what you're going to pay at the university. So if you don't have the means to start out at the university, check into the community college, check into the technical college, get your gen eds. It'll give you a little bit more time to figure out what you want to do, what you want to get your degree in. And then after, 2 years, you can transfer all of those, or most of those credits. I would check with your advisor to see what will transfer and what will not transfer first. But most of those credits should transfer to any university. Another option is taking online classes that will allow you to continue to work full time. This also will come in handy for you if you don't live close to an educational institution. If you're living out in the boonies, you have an hour, 2-hour drive to be able to attend a community college or a university. Online classes are a definite possibility. When I first graduated, online classes were non-existent. And even when I was getting my network administration degree about 15 years ago, online classes were very, very rare. But now they're all over the place. And in fact, I got my IT management degree from the University of Minnesota completely online, a legitimate bachelor degree from the University of Minnesota, and I did not have to step foot into a classroom once. The master's program that I'm attending right now through Missouri State University in Springfield, completely 100% online. Now, in my case, I'm taking care of my kids right now. I am not currently employed, but taking those online classes are allowing me to take classes that I wouldn't normally be able to take because I have my son. There are also full-time jobs out there, like working at hotels or working sleep shifts, where they actually pay you to just be there while people sleep, which gives you time to study while you're still earning a living. There are various programs, like I said, hotels, a front desk at a hotel. There was an institution called Rem Waverd in Bemidji, Minnesota, where I used to live, and they paid you to strictly to sit there, to be there while the residents were asleep, so that somebody was there if somebody had an accident or if there was an emergency or a fire or something like that. And those are kind of jobs where you can still make a living, but definitely can also still work on your homework. Now, I know that having disabilities tends to kind of make people shy away from getting an education. And I want to tell you that I was diagnosed with ADHD, and I'm still so glad that I went back to school. There is so much help out there that most people don't even know about. Actually, most educational institutions, both community college, technical colleges, and also universities, they have specific programs for people with disabilities. And it's not just physical disabilities. There's also ADHD is considered a disability. There's mental disabilities, emotional disabilities, PTSD. There is nothing holding you back if you really want to go to school. And I understand, with a disability, it can be harder. I'm not saying that it's not harder for me than for not most people, but for other people. But, there is help available to you. And actually, the department that you would want to look through at your university or school would be called the Disability Resource Center, and they have access to tutors, special people that are there to help you figure out alternative ways of learning, because not everybody learns the same way. I am definitely a visual learner. I could read a book 6 times. I could listen to a lecture 45 times, and I would not get half of what I would get out of it by actually seeing something being done or actually having hands-on and doing it myself. So your disability does not have to define you. Now, another reason that I know people tend to shy away from getting an education is the fact that nobody in their family has gotten an education. And, that's not a reason to hold yourself back. Not at all. So many people that do not grow up in an academic family thrive in school. Again, I'm one. My parents didn't get a college degree. My grandparents didn't get a college degree. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they were lazy or they weren't smart enough. It just wasn't for them. And that's okay. That is completely okay. My dad graduated valedictorian of his class and got a full ride scholarship to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, but it wasn't going to make him happy. And what he was looking for in his life was happiness. So even though it was a fraction of the money, he decided that he wanted to be a farmer. He wanted to do that hands-on. He wanted to be out there working with the earth, just being happy. And that is completely okay. My goal today is not to tell you that you're not worth anything if you don't have an education, because that's not true. Many people do thrive completely without having an education. I'm just here to tell you that it can be so much easier to enter the job market and to get a good job if you have that piece of paper saying that you've learned this job. So essentially, don't be afraid to be the first one in your family that goes to college, because it could start with you. Having your kids say, wow, my mom was the first person to get a degree, or my dad was the first person to get a degree. Even grandma or grandpa, seeing that done and seeing the fact that you can do it, even though people told you couldn't, it is definitely a motivational point for these kids that are growing up now. The kids that are looking up to you, the kids that are wanting to follow in your footsteps and are being motivated by what you do, that's going to be motivation for them. Another reason that people tend to shy away from school is their age. I'm not going to lie to you. When I graduated high school, I was definitely not ready to go to college. I was immature. I just wanted to get out and get my own place and start making money. I tried to get a degree in sales, marketing, and management, but I lasted about a semester before I just said, this isn't me. And it was actually several years later. I did not get my degree in early childhood education until I was 23 years old. And that's even younger than some other people that are getting their first degrees. When I went and got my network administration degree, there were people in my classes that had gotten laid off from their jobs that were 50, 60 years old and were going to college for the first time. It's nothing to be ashamed of, nothing at all. If anything, it's, the fact that you're doing it, the fact that you're not letting your age stop you is so respectable in my eyes. So don't let your age discourage you. Some people are worried about fitting in, and I can see that. I, for one, had a horrible experience in junior high and high school. I didn't fit in. Most of the kids I went to school with were into sports and were really very talented in the sports department, and I just wasn't. I wasn't into theater. I wasn't into very many things. And so, I had my best friend that I hung out with, but I got picked on a lot. That's not something that you have to worry about in college. The fact that you're going to college with hundreds or even thousands of people, they pass by you and may never even know your name. So that is definitely not something that you need to worry about going to college. You're not going to be the jock unless you play football, of course. You're not going to be the stoner. You're not going to be the reject. You're just going to be there getting your education like everybody else. Nobody there is worried about what you're wearing, or they shouldn't be anyway. Most people are worried about their own grades, whether they're passing. Everybody is just kind of in their own little bubble. Finally, like I said, some people just aren't cut out for college, like my parents. And that's okay. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to help you. The point of this whole presentation is that if you go to college, if you want to go to college, there's nothing holding you back. You do have options, and I would like to help you find the answers to any questions you might have. Reach out to me on Facebook, private message me, leave a comment on this post. If you have questions, ask. If I don't know the answer right offhand, I know how to find it, and I will find that answer for you. So that's about all I have for today, and I want to thank you for taking the time to stop and watch this presentation. And as I said, if you have any questions, Feel free to contact me by commenting on this post or private messaging me through Messenger. Thank you. Bye.